morning. It's another beautiful Wednesday morning on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, the 18th of February 2025. And I welcome you to the newspaper review where we'll be giving you the stories that made it to the front page of the dailies for this morning. So stay tuned and I will be dishing out the stories from the Punch newspaper, The Nation, and also Daily Post. And moving to the Punch newspaper for this morning, I have this headline that says 2027 election, lawmakers protest as NAS OK's e-transmission manual backup. And also, cash crunch, minister laments as 10 trillion naira capital funding stalls. Nigerian loses 1.76 trillion naira after missing OPEC quota. And 432 billion naira probe. EFCC extend El Rufai detention as lawyer pushes for bail. France faces new flood nightmare as waters surge. I'm still on the Punch newspaper with this headline that says Ramadan Lent begins today across the globe. NUPRC moves to end crude theft with first metering facility. Ogun debt eats 494 billion naira. IGR rises above 240 billion naira. And also, Ondo APC chair beating as party meeting erupts in chaos. And moving to the Nation for this morning with this headline that says lawmakers okays e-transmission 300-day election notification. EFCC holds on to El Rufai. Dangote 900 billion naira 2025 taxes excites federal government. MSMEs created 250,000 jobs last year. Africa needs own credit rating agency. And all these are the stories that made it to the front page of The Nation for this morning. And on Daily Post, I still have the same news in the same vein of the e-transmission. Opposition stood for Nigerians, did their best, Rep member says. And also on Daily Post, insecurity. 14 Brigade Nigerian Army commanders seek NUJ support. Private school teachers open up on daily struggles amid 10,000 naira monthly salary. Tinubu will make worse president if returned to power, says Baba Ahmed. And all of these are from the Daily Post for this morning, for the 18th of February 2026. And now moving to the stories from the headline that made it to the front page of the Punch for this morning with this one that says 2027 election, lawmakers protest as NAS okays e-transmission and manual backup. The National Assembly on Tuesday approved the electronic transmission of election results but retained manual collation as a backup, triggering protest, a walkout by opposition lawmakers, and heated debate in both chambers ahead of the 2027 general election. What should have been a routine legislative correction to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill instead of degenerated into one of the most dramatic sighting of the 10th Assembly, exposing deep partisan fault lines ahead of the 2027 general elections. In the Senate, 15 lawmakers led by Senator Eyinaya Abaribe, ADC Abia South, stood defiantly against a controversial proviso in Clause 60, Section 3 that recognizes the manually completed form EC8A as the primary source of coalition where electronic transmission fails. In the House of Representatives, the Minority Caucus staged a walkout accusing the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas' leadership of the railroading amendment and frustrating attempts to insist on mandatory real-time electronic transmission without caveats. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. If you're just tuning in, it's to the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And right now, I'm still on the Punch newspaper with this headline that says cash crunch. Ministers lament as 10 trillion naira capital funding stalls. Ministers in charge of key infrastructures and service delivery agency are grappling with a severe funding squeeze as figures obtained shows that the MDAs received less than 1 trillion naira for capital projects in the first 7 months of 2025. The data used for this report was most updated available from the Budget Office of the Federation, as the agency has yet to release the comprehensive full-year implementation figures despite the fiscal year being well advanced. Analysts and public finance experts has repeatedly criticized the Budget Office for delaying publishing up-to-date budget performance data and for what they describe as weak transparency standards in the disseminations of government fiscal information, particularly under the current administrations of Bola Tinubu. An analysis of data from the Budget Office of the Federation's Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper 2026 to 2028 shows that while 18.53 trillion naira was appropriated for capital expenditure for MDAs and others in 2025, the January-July pro rata benchmark stood at 10.81 trillion naira. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. And moving forward to the nation for this morning with this headline that says EFCC holds on to El Rufai. The Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, yesterday held on to former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El Rufai. It was the former governor's second night at the agency Abuja headquarters. There were indications that the ex-governor may stay longer in custody if the Anti-Graft Commission secures a remand order from a court. Also, the Independent Corrupt Practices and the Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, is waiting in the wing to interrogate El Rufai on the failed light rail project in Kaduna. Besides, the Department of State Service, DSS, is set to pick up the ex-governor for arrangements for allegedly tapping the telephone lines of the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. The secret police has already filed three-count charge against the former governor before the Federal High Court in Abuja. And for more of this, the story is on The Nation for this morning. If you're just tuning in, it's to the newspaper review on your dial 101.5 FM JDN Radio Broadcasting for All, and I'm still on The Nation with this headline that says Dangote's 900 billion naira 2025 taxes excites federal government. Dangote Cement paid about 900 billion naira in taxes in 2025. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said yesterday. He said Dangote Industries generate more energy than many Nigerian states, which is a plus for the African continent. President Tinubu spoke when he unveiled the Nigerian Industrial Policy 2025, where he reaffirmed the federal government's pride in Nigeria's manufacturing sector. The president, represented by Vice President Kassim Shettima, said the government appreciates manufacturers who generate their own power and remain committed to national development. President Tinubu said Dangote generates more energy for his industries than many Nigerian states, which is a plus for the African continent. And the story continues on The Nations for this morning, the 18th of February 2026. And I'm also taking this on The Nation with this headline that says MSMEs created 250,000 jobs last year. 250,000 jobs were created last year through 11 shared hubs by the micro, small, and medium enterprise. The presidential aides in charge of small businesses said yesterday. Special advisors to the president on MSMEs and job creations in the office of the Vice President, Mr. Temitola Adekunle Johnson, spoke yesterday during the presentation of the 2025-2026 MSME report to Vice President Kassim Shettima at the Presidential Villa. According to him, the MSME focus this year will be a stronger coordination with partners agencies and state governments, the riskings of funds, the National MSME Awards, sustainable job creation programs, capacity development, and improve access to financing. Shettima stressed that Nigeria must urgently harness its vast potentials in the digital space, agriculture, and other high-impact sector. Apart from receiving the report, the event featured a stakeholder meeting to review progress under the MSMEs and job creation framework of the Tinubu administration. And the story continues on The Nations for this morning. And moving forward to Daily Post for this morning, with this headline that said insecurity, 14 Brigade Nigerian Army Commander seeks NUJ support. The commander, 14 Brigade Nigerian Army OAFA, Brigadier General Ahmad Mansour Diko, has said that the brigade will foster a strong relationship with the media community, in line with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waheed Shaibu's philosophy. He also reassured that the brigade will maintain security and stability within its area of responsibility through a strengthened civil-military cooperation. Diko was speaking at the headquarters of the 14th Brigade Nigerian Army of here on Tuesday when he received the members of the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) Abia State Council, who was led on a courtesy visit by their chairman Chidi Ansoye. He highlighted the pivotal roles of the media in nation building, noting that while the media possesses the capacity to build trust and confidence, it could equally erode if not professionally managed. The commander commended the NUJ for its support in projecting the activities and achievements of the Nigerian Army in Abia State, stressing that the Army relies significantly on credible media platforms to inform the public of its commitments, operations, and successes. And the story continues on Daily Post for this morning. And taking this from Daily Post with this headline that says private school teachers open up on daily struggles amid 10,000 naira monthly salary. In the past, the teaching profession was seen as one of the most notable professions anyone could find themselves in. Teachers were seen as the molders of society because every profession went through the tutelage of a teacher. However, teachers have become the drudge of society, especially those in private schools. Private school teachers, especially those in Jos, the capital of Plateau State, have been reduced to a mere tool by school proprietors to be used and dumped at will. They face severe low income and poor working conditions, highlighting their silent struggles, but with a resilience that goes to show that if given the right condition to work, they will excel. Though private schools have become the largest employer of labor in Jos, with many of them springing up in almost every street, the teachers they employ have been the ones at the receiving end, as the salaries and remuneration are nothing to write home about. And for more of these stories is on Daily Post for this morning, the 18th of February 2026. And for you to be part of the newspaper review in 2-3 minutes before we run it up this morning, you can call into the studio line on 07048 001015 and 08022102163. And also, you can drop any of your comments of any of the headlines that you want to have a reactions on our Facebook on JDN Radio 101.5 FM and also on YouTube, JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And I'll make a run through of the headlines that I've read out their stories from the dailies for this morning. For the Punch newspaper, I took the news that 2027 elections, lawmakers protest as NAS OK's e-transmissions manual backup. And I also read the story that says cash crunch, ministers lament as 10 trillion naira capital funding stalls. And on The Nation, I read the story that EFCC owes on to El Rufai, and I also read the story that Dangote's 900 billion naira 2025 taxes excites federal government. And I also read that MSMEs created 250,000 jobs last year. And finally, on Daily Post, I took this story. I said insecurity, 14th Brigade Nigerian Army commander seek NUJ support. And I also read the story that private school teachers open up on daily struggles and win 10,000 naira monthly salary. And those are the headlines that I've read out their story for this morning on the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And as you know that the newspaper review will come in Yoruba language segment on Afoniroyi in the next 5 minutes. So if you have any reactions on any of the news and you are thinking of how you want to put it together, you can just call in during the Afoniroyi and give them your opinion about any of the headlines. I remain Abiodun Samson, and do not forget I keep sticking to this frequency, and the newspaper review continues tomorrow 7:30 to 8 a.m. Monday to Friday. And do not forget that every of our programs for today will be rolling in, and just leave it on that 101.5 FM. And also, I'm greeting all our Muslims and Christians for the Ash Wednesday starting today, the Ash Wednesday for today, and also our Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslims. I remain Abiodun Samson. Bye.
JDN Radio 101.5 FM, broadcasting for all.
JDN Radio 101.5 Ibadan.
lójoojúmọ́ lóríṣiríṣi ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè nàìjíríà èyí tí ń dùn mọ́ni àti èyí tára kọ̀ bá a ti ń gbọ́ròyìn lọ́tún là ń gbọ́ lọ́sì pàtàkì jùlọ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú òṣèlú àti ìdàgbàsókè orílẹ̀‐èdè nàìjíríà àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí ń jáde tó nílò ká dá sí